Are you brand new to the profession system in the War Within that we previously also had in Dragonflight, and you would like to know the basics around how it works so we can all get started at somewhat the same point? Well, then this video is going to be for you. Before we get into it, make sure that you guys drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel with all the notifications on to see everything else that I'm going to create for the War Within for professions, PvE, collectibles, everything that you can think of. But let's get straight into the video. So, professions are put together in a way where you have profession stats, you have profession tools, you have skills, and everything like that. The first thing that I'm going to talk to you guys about is your skill points. Skill points is what will do everything in your profession. It's going to stand for whatever quality you're crafting your recipe at. Not everything in your profession will have a quality, but for the ones that do, they're going to require a certain amount of skills so you can reach the recipe difficulty. And the recipe difficulty is what determines how much skill that you actually need to be able to craft whatever it is that you're trying to craft. Now, based on the quality that you can actually make, it increases the functions of it, the stats of it, whatever it is, right? It just makes it a little bit better. Materials have 3 quality levels. There's rank 1, rank 2, and rank 3. And when it comes to gear, there is 5 quality levels. So you have an additional 4 and 5. Now, profession stats are what make these professions. So we're going to continue talking about those first, and then we can move on to other aspects of what professions are. Now, in the War Within, we have kind of one new profession stat that we didn't have in Dragonflight. So we're going to talk about that first, and then we'll move on to the ones that we also had in Dragonflight to give you guys an idea of what those are. Concentration, with the addition of ingenuity, is the new profession stat in the War Within. It is supposed to be a replacement for inspiration. Inspiration is actually going away, even though it's still listed here. It's not going to exist in the War Within. Concentration is supposed to be a resource that you can use to guarantee the next rank. So at the moment, I have 1 skill here, and if I want to be able to guarantee craft a rank 2, I have to use 216 concentration points. And up here, the top left side of your profession window, you can see how much you have. Every single profession that has concentration in it will have 500. It will not change. There is nothing that changes this total max value, and it doesn't seem like there's anything that makes the recharge value of these things even any faster either. On the beta currently, these recharge at a rate of between 3 to 4 minutes per 1 point. So right now, if you use every single one, recharging 500 is going to take almost a full day. And when they are maxed, which you get a warning for, concentration is full. So you actually never want to reach a point where concentration is 100%, because then the timer isn't running. So if you go 2 days without using any of your concentration, you're just wasting potentially higher quality crafts. So you don't want to do that. Now, the second part of concentration is ingenuity. And ingenuity is a percentage chance to refund some of the concentration that you spend on a craft. So, if we had any percentage on this right now, say 15%, then if I craft 10 versions of something, I might get lucky and have some of those refund some of the concentration that I spent. So those two stats work very well together, and each profession is going to have different values for how much this actually matters, whether you're crafting gear, materials, consumables, or whatever it is. But just that's how these two work. The other profession stats that you have available to you in the War Within are going to be resourcefulness, it's going to be multi-craft, and those are pretty much the ones that actually matter, that you have to know about, because again, inspiration is going away. So resourcefulness is you have a percentage chance to use fewer tradable reagents. So what that means is, you can see here for this healing potion, just give you an example, Gilded Vial and Mycobloom, if that's how you pronounce the Mycobloom, every single craft, if you have a, say, 25% chance at proccing resourcefulness, you'll have every once in a while you use a little bit less of the materials that you use on a particular crafted item, whether it's gear, items, or toys, or whatever it is. You'll be able to actually see whatever it is that you're crafting. You'll be able to see what profession stats are going to impact it. So you can see here, for example, in alchemy, wild experimentations, you don't get any resourcefulness, you don't get any multicraft, because it doesn't make sense for what this thing is. And you'll be able to notice that on a bunch of different crafts. So just keep that in mind, that every profession stat doesn't work for every recipe in a profession. Now, multicraft, it's in the name, and that's a percentage chance to craft additional items. So let's say that, again, we're crafting a healing potion. You have a percentage chance to craft more than 5, right? So if this particular thing says 5, that's considered one craft. So what that means is, for a multi-craft, you can get 10, you can get 15, you can get 20. Depending on how high the values are, it's a little hard to tell. But most of the time, a 3x, even maybe a 4x for some things, is the absolute most that you can get. The 3x is what we had in Dragonflight, so I don't think that's going to change much. So just keep that in mind, that it won't be much higher than that. Now, every single one of these profession stats will be impacted by your specialization tree. And the specialization trees are all different in every single profession, and they impact different recipes in each one. Now, I don't actually think that Blizzard has done a very good job of describing what these different talent points are going to impact in terms of recipes. So it's a little hard to tell just if you look at it, or if you look at the description. It's a little hard to tell sometimes what skill point is going to interact with certain recipes. So some serious testing and some guides and explanations for that are coming soon. If you guys want to know more about that, I plan on making a lot of profession builds and a lot of leveling guides for professions. So be on the lookout for that closer to the release of the War Within. One thing that I still have not talked about is going to be gathering professions. And gathering professions are a little different from crafting professions, because they do have slightly different profession stats. So I'm going to go ahead and talk about those as well, because it's important to talk about so you guys know what they do. A lot of the time, if you guys forget what these different profession stats do, you can actually hover over them and get the idea. But still, I'm going to try and explain to you guys what's going on anyway, just so you can get an idea. Now, for something like mining, this is going to be the same thing for mining, herbalism, and skinning. We have 3 different skills, or profession stats, right? Because we still have skill, and we still have primary reagent difficulty, which is impacted by your skill. Same with the crafting professions. Finesse, deftness, perception. Those are the 3 new ones. Finesse is you have a percentage chance to gather more of the primary reagent found here. So if you gather one of the new ores, call it bismuth, that's one of the new ores, you have a percentage chance to just gather more. And this will be increased by however much you can actually get from your specialization trees and everything like that. Again, future videos are coming on that. The other one is deftness, and that increases your gathering speed. So when you mine, when you start picking at a mine, it's going to take like 2 seconds, 2.5, but increased deftness will increase that speed. So if you plan on mining for, say, an hour or 2, having an increased gathering speed is going to allow you to faster gain more materials, and it's going to matter if you like mining for hours and hours and hours on end. Now, the other one is perception, and that increases your ability to spot rare reagents while gathering, and this is both for elusive ones, because in the gathering system, you have different kinds of deposits and flowers, and they're called different things, they have different rarity, and perception will increase your ability to actually see them on the minimap, but also while you gather. So that's really important to have, because it impacts how many that you can find overall. Now, two other things that you're going to be able to get in herbalism and mining. I made already a full overlook at mining and herbalism, so if you guys are interested in that video, go check it out. But you do get two abilities, and it's called Overload Empowered Deposit, and then there's Overload Flowers as well. And this will, every single time that you walk in, or not necessarily walk into, but if you find one of these empowered deposits, which are more rare than regular ones, you'll be able to use this ability to make it even better. And this is really important not to forget about, because it doesn't just randomly show up in your bars. So make sure that you go into your spellbook and you find it under General in the brand new spellbook design. They're both called Overload. I know a lot of people early on in Dragonflight that did not know that these existed. So very important to go and pick those up before you do anything. Another aspect, if we're going past all the material crafting, if we're going past all the consumables, there is obviously gear crafting. Now, gear crafting is a little bit different than materials and things like that, because they are going to be bind on pickup. And this is different from many other expansions, because in previous expansions, also before Dragonflight, we used to be able to craft, rare and epic versions of gear and just post it straight on the auction house. That's not the case anymore, and if you're a brand new player, there is a completely separate system for this, set in to obviously Dragonflight, but also the War Within, and those are called work orders. In the War Within, work orders are going to work the same way that they did in Dragonflight, where you will have particular NPCs that you need to go and talk to be able to make work orders. This is only the case if you're not a profession user, because if you're a profession user, you will have to go to your profession's work table, the particular work table for whatever profession that you're using. In this case, for something like tailoring, you'll be able to click on the tailoring work table and find your crafting orders right here. This entire window has public orders, it has NPC work orders, and personal orders. Now, NPC work orders are particularly designed for the War Within. We still do not have the full aspect of what this is going to be yet, but these are going to be personalized work orders similar to what a regular player will be able to get you, that you can get for your profession. It'll just be, an NPC, like a computer in the game, that sends you a work order that you can complete for various rewards. And that's going to be probably really important for your progression in your profession. So absolutely, you have to be on the lookout for this. We don't know whether or not these are going to be daily or they're going to be weekly yet. So that is still, a little bit in the works. When it comes to every other aspect, public work orders are going to be your entire server's window into what's going to happen. You'll only be able to see the work orders that people put for things that you can craft in your profession. That's very important. Otherwise, people can send you personal crafting orders or work orders, and that can be done through something like trade chat, or it could be done through your guild or friends that that want something that you can make. And you can obviously create maybe like a want to sell or a want to craft or something like that and post it in trade chat, and that way you can get some of your crafts done. Now, if you are not a profession user, and even if you are, it's still really important to know how the work order system works. You'll be walking over to an NPC like this one, and the entire window will give you a recrafting option. And the recrafting option is, say that you craft an item, we talked about this earlier, an item has 5 quality ranks. Now, if early on, when everyone's progressing their professions, you might not be able to guarantee crafts at a quality 5, which means that if people are going to be okay with quality 2, quality 3, they're going to want a stronger version of that particular piece or anything else, and then they can do a recraft order for that. Now, recrafting orders are only personal. So what that means is everyone that's eventually going to need recrafting is going to have to do it through either trade chat or someone that they've been to previously. So working on building up a net of, customers, friends, whatever it is, if you're a profession user, is a pretty smart idea. Now, for regular things, you have the entire option. It kind of looks like the auction house, but it's completely separate, which I also think is not, super good. But you'll be able to type anything in, right? So if you need a pair of cool sunset bracers or warm sunrise bracers, whatever it is, you can just type it in, right? You can type in, oh, well, I need these warm sunrise bracers. I want them crafted at level 80. Then, as a regular player, they can decide, okay, well, I'm gonna provide all of these materials and I'm going to give a commission. Now, you don't actually have to do this, and a lot of players don't really understand why they have to pay any commission at all. And the system is designed in a way where everyone's completely, full of different opinions for how this is supposed to work. But just to give you guys an idea, you can, or you can also not, provide the materials depending on what you want, and then you can optional reagents for increased eye level, things like that. And then you can also type a note here. You can say, oh, I really want this at quality whatever, or if you can recraft this multiple times for me, then I'll pay extra, or whatever it is, right? You can just put a little note, whatever it is, that's what you do. And then you can choose to say, okay, well, I'm going to post it for 12, 24, 48 hours, depending on what it is. And then you can also view similar orders. So if anyone else is looking for warm sunrise bracers in a similar fashion to what you are, you can see if there's any similar orders in case you want to increase your commission or lower your commission, whatever it is, depending on who you are and what you want to do. That's an option. And public orders and personal orders are two of the options, but the third option is guild orders. Now, guild orders are going to be potentially cross-realm because they're opening up for a lot of that cross-realm activity for the War Within. I haven't really been able to test this yet on the beta. In case anyone knows whether or not this is going to work, it might be an option to do some cross-realm potential with guild orders. But again, if you are in a guild, you can also just ask for a personal order, considering you're probably on the same realm. But again, if it opens up for some cross-realm opportunities, that would be great. I would not be against it. Now, another aspect of professions are going to be your profession gear. Now, these actually matter quite a lot for how high you can get your skill and your different profession stats. So I'll give you guys an idea of how they work. You're going to be able to have in every single profession 2 accessories and 1 tool. Now, these vary from profession to profession for what they do, how high the quality goes, and whether they're rare, green, all this stuff. And I'll give you guys a couple of ideas here. This one, for example, is one of the accessories that you can get, and that's a artisan's tailoring coat. And you have an artisan's alchemist robe. You have the same with an artisan's chef's hat. These are all going to go through the work order system as well, so just keep that in mind. And those are some of the accessories. And you can see, oh, this one gives crafting speed and multi-craft. This one gives resourcefulness and ingenuity. And this one just gives pure fishing skill, for example. And that's going to be the case for both the accessories and your tool. And obviously, you want the highest possible quality early on before you start crafting anything, right? Especially in the first couple of weeks when you're building up your knowledge points for your professions, because that's going to be really, really, really important. The other aspect of professions are going to be knowledge points. This is brand new. Well, not really. If you've never seen this before and you didn't play much in Dragonflight, it's new for how the profession system has worked previously. Knowledge points are going to be, again, also skill points, but they call them knowledge points to mining knowledge, right? For example, in mining. And these are going to be the skill points that you can put into every single one of your spec trees. Really important information for these knowledge points. All the different ways that we can actually gain these in the War Within are not completely finished yet, but in your profession, you'll have something that's called a first craft bonus. This will give you a knowledge point and a couple of other things that gives you a knowledge point. But Also, you can get it from treasures out in the open world. We're going to eventually be able to get it from NPC work orders. And you can also get it from potentially profession quests if they end up implementing those again. And when I talk about those in Dragonflight, we had weekly profession quests that gave a certain amount of knowledge points. And that was super important to keep up with. NPC work orders are a new thing that's coming in the World Within, so we don't know if they're there to fully replace profession quests, so just keep that in mind. There's also going to be some profession rewards from Reputation. Just to give you guys an idea right here. Where is it? Here it is. So profession knowledge, for example, right here, you're going to be able to get a couple of points. Whether this is 5 or 10 is yet to be seen. Another way of getting knowledge points is also going to be from one-time collectible treasures in the open world. That is something that's going to be not brand new, but a completely separate video because it's quite extensive, the list of how you can get it. But just to give you guys an idea of something that you have to look out for in these professions, that's really important. Now, in the War Within, in Dornagal, we have a brand new place for the Artisans Consortium, which is basically the profession people, and there's going to be a quartermaster. Now, for every profession, you'll have 3 different versions of like notes for tailoring and mining here. And at the moment, they each give 15 of these knowledge points, and you can see they cost artisans acuity or however was supposed to pronounce this. This is going to be your profession resource. It's one of those things that you'll be able to use again on certain recipes. You'll be able to use it for certain crafts. You can actually see here something we talked about before. They actually didn't implement this fully yet, but it's going to be used for certain aspects of profession gear, so just keep that in mind. This is a very, very important resource to hold on to, and also don't just spend without thinking about what you're going for, okay? So keep that in mind as well. That is most of everything that I had for professions. I hope this helps you guys that are new to professions or never really got into it in Dragonflight. Kind of get an idea of what's going on. If you guys have any questions for professions, make sure that you drop them down in the comments below. And as I said throughout the video, leveling guides for professions and also build guides for the specialization trees are something that I plan on going into a lot in the coming months, closer to the release. As soon as we get some more finalized versions, that's what I plan on doing. But that's going to be everything that I have for this video. Make sure that you guys type we're gonna say Monster, because that's what I'm drinking right now. Not sponsored, by the way. Type Monster down in the comments below, or again, if you have any questions, make sure that you drop that down there as well. Thank you guys so much for watching the video, and until the next one, see ya.